So this method we supposed to import in this URLs because we are need to mention the method name, view method name, that view method name in the app module. So we want to import that views from the polls. So polls.views and importing the method name landing page.
Okay.
So there is a MySQL is not running, so it is not able to connect to the MySQL. That's why it is throwing this MySQL error. So I need to start that MySQL. So it is running now. Okay, here not render. We just have to return HTTP response. So we need to import this HTTP response. So this is imported from Django HTTP. So now if I reload it, so the output is coming. So this is the view.
Okay.
So model means we have created the model, student model. Okay. So name, date of birth, and time is okay. So now if you want to debug, so we need to configure the debug here. Okay, so that I will show now how to configure the debug. So if you run this by throwing the command, so you can't able to put the breakpoint and you can't able to stop the execution for debugging. Okay, for that what we have to do, so we need to go to this configuration and we need to click this plus and Python. So here we can give some any name. I am just giving as a run. So here we need to select the script, which Python file we are running. So we are running the manage.py file. So we need to select that manage.py and parameter we are giving run server. So it means that Python manage.py run server. So this is the environment. So whatever we have created the virtual environment in this for this project. So that same environment has been selected. So this is a 3.10 environment name Python class demo. So after that, we need to click on apply and we can select OK. So now we are getting the debug and run button. So if you run this, so it just directly runs, but we can't do the debug. Okay, when we want to do the debug, so we need to run this debug icon. So after running this debug icon, you can put the breakpoint wherever you want. And if you reload it, so the debugger has been stopped. So this is the request. So which contains all the request data. Okay, now we will try to get the object, student object, which we have created in the last class, student. So the student is not imported. So this should be polls, models, and student. So this has been imported now. Now I can able to pass this object. You can only concatenate the string means here whatever I am concatenating. So it is an object. It is a query object. So but when we are appending the string, so to the string, so we can append only string object. So for that we can convert that whole object as a string. So it is not printing anything because that student object don't have any data. It is an empty one. So we can debug that. So now you can able to see, so the query set is empty. So to insert the object, student, and we need to pass the values. Key and value base. So this is the key, column name. So it is an integer field. So we need to give an integer value. And this time is automatically it will add date and time. So for that we no need to worry. So we are not going to insert it, automatically insert that value. So here I will just print student data inserted. So this just a text I am returning. So this is successfully inserted. So there is no any errors. So it is just printing student data is inserted. So this is the insertion method actually. So we can pass whatever the data we want to pass it. So that variable values we can pass here and we can insert the data like this for the table. Okay. So now there is one data is there. So I will give one more name. So again, I will reload it. This is also inserted. Okay. In the same method, I will just change code to fetch the objects. Student dot objects dot all. Okay. So we done a mistake. We have not saved that object. So we can call it here itself. Dot save. Okay, now it should be inserted. Okay, now we'll fetch the objects. Okay, we'll debug and we'll see first. So what is the value? So now we can able to see two objects. So student object one and student object two. So it is inserted the two values. Even in the MySQL also we can see that data. So this is the test DB. So here we have created the student table. So here we have a two rows. So this time is automatically it is inserted, and this ID is automatically generated from the Python Django. So we are just mentioning three columns, and this time we are made it as a auto add. It means that at that when it is data is inserting, that time what is the our system time, that system date time it will insert. It is just like a timestamp. So when that student has been registered, so like that we can check. So which time student has registered, like that we can test it. So that same two objects is coming. So we are just converting again to query set only. Okay, when we are parsing this query set, so we need to fetch this each object and we need to pass the value. So we need to loop it. So even we have studied in the Python, so how to query the sets, not query, looping the sets. So in the same way, we need to loop that sets and we need to fetch this each object and we can populate or we can send the data to front end. So now what I will do, so I will just fetch the first object. Dot. So now the first object name is I can able to return to the front end. So now let's try with the next object. So it's returning the next object name. So it means that second row we are getting the name. So here we can loop also. So we can store that value in some list. So I'm just looping through the query object and I am trying to store that data. We'll see. So like this, you should practice to debug the code. So if you are good in debugging, so then only we can easily fix the issues. If you want to understand somebody's code or if you want to exactly want to know the logic, so we should debug. So where the execution is going, so what is happening, everything we easily uh, can come to know and we can easily understand the issues. So now it's came inside. So there is objects, it is having a two objects. So but when it iterates, the first object came. So that first object is X. So this object contains ID, name, and PK. So I am taking that name and I am storing into a data. So now the data is just a string. It is storing only one value. And that is just replacing the value. So even if I see that, only Harsha will print. Okay, so for that we need to mention data as a list. Data equals to. So now we can add the data dot append. I'm just appending the names. So now we can debug the code. So now the first object came. So data is a list now. So you can able to see the type also. So data is a list now. So now the first value is inserted as a guru, and when it iterates in the second step, so the two values has been inserted in the list. So finally I'm just returning that list itself, but list we can't able to concatenate to the string, so that's why it is saying so can only concatenate the string, not a list. So then we need to change this to string format. So now we can able to see the list. So like this we do the in the view method, we iterate, we fetch the data, or we modify the data, or we insert the data into the model tables in the tables. So it is completely depend upon the model class. So that is the concept we call it as a ORM, object relationship modeling. Okay. So by using this concept, we don't need to write any queries and all. So just by creating the class model and just by calling that class methods to access. So we need to call those methods and we need to access the data, and we can manipulate, or we can do our business logic, and we can send to the front end. Okay, now the model and view is completed. Means that is just a concept. So we have to go inside in depth of the views. So this is just a view method. So we can create a class also, view class. So by using the view class, we can define everything. So now let's see the model view, then templates. So templates means we need to render the template. So from for this view. So for this view, if you inspect and if you see this, so in the body it is coming only a string. Okay, so this is not in complete HTML code. So it is returning only the string value to the browser. Okay, so now we need to completely render the template. So template means, so it's completely a web template. So let's see how to load the templates. To load the templates, first we need to create the one folder as a templates. Then we have to create a one HTML file. So let's create one HTML file. I just give that name as a index. So title, testing. In the body, I will put the P. So I think all of you understand this HTML tags and CSS, JavaScript and all. Here I just print
Yes.
template. Okay, so whatever the CSS we want, so in the HTML we can link up the CSS, JavaScript, everything to make animated and graphically very representative. So then after that, if we render this index.html, so this HTML will load. So also whatever in the views we are fetching the data in the models, we can pass these objects to the HTML also to print the data. So let's first we'll see how to render. So to render the So in this render method, there is a three values will come. One is a request and one is the template name and another is the context. So context is actually the data. So request means whatever the request comes, that same request we need to pass. So if even if we modify that anything, so we need to pass that request object, whatever it comes in this method, and we need to mention the template name. So template name is the which we have created that index.html. That template name we need to mention. After that, we need to mention the context. So when we are mentioning the context, uh, it means that in the context we can pass any objects. Okay, so it is just like a set of data in a list. So it will take, it will, it's like a sets. It will go all the data into the HTML page. And request comma template name. So we need to mention templates slash and then context. So context, I will just pass this data list. So the time it is saying that template does not exist. Templates slash index. Okay. So it is not recognizing the path which we are giving the template name. So let's see how to give. Okay. So here what we have to do. So in the settings.py, first we need to in the settings we need to say the template directory path. So after that we just directly have to give the file name. So that time we no need to mention the complete path name itself. So once we give the template directory path, we'll see the Django documentation only. So this is the base directory. So base directory means So in this project, so this base directory, it comes from the D drive. So but it so D drive and Python class demo. So this is the base directory. So that's why first we need to mention in the settings. Okay. So base directory is not mentioned. Okay. So base directory is mentioned. So this is the base directory, path of file and resolve and parent.parent. So it takes actually base directory D drive slash Python class demo. So because this project is located in the D drive. So after that base directory, we need to mention the templates path. So this is the base directory. So after that base directory, what we have to give? So the template folder name, TEMP LATES templates.